All right, let's dive into one of the weirdest and most profound books in all of philosophy, Soren Kierkegaard's Either Or. And trust me, this isn't a book you just read. It's a puzzle you're supposed to solve, a choice you're pretty much forced to make. And the puzzle starts right on the cover. It says the book is published by Victor Eremita. Now you're probably asking, who on earth is that? And that is exactly the right question to be asking. Because Victor Eremita, well, he never existed.
So this is your first big clue that Either Or isn't just a collection of essays. It is a carefully built experience, a kind of philosophical puzzle box, and it was designed from the ground up to get inside your head. And the guy who made it had a very, very specific goal.
See, the real author, the man behind the curtain, was the Danish philosopher Soren Kierkegaard. But to get his ideas across, he didn't just write them down. Oh no, he created a whole cast of characters. This fictional editor, Victor Eremita, and then two totally anonymous authors he just calls A and B. And each one has a completely different view on how you should live your life.
So why all the drama? Why the fake authors? Well, like a lot of incredible art, it came from heartbreak. Kierkegaard had this really painful, broken engagement to a woman named Regine Olsen, and it sent him into a massive personal crisis. This whole experience, as the translator tells us, became the engine for the book. It forced him to explore these huge life choices through these fictional voices. Now, to present these two warring life philosophies, Kierkegaard doesn't just lay them out. He creates this amazing backstory, a kind of story within a story that feels like a mystery novel, all about how these papers were supposedly found in the first place.
Our make-believe editor, Victor Eremita, kicks things off by telling us he became obsessed with an old desk, a secretary desk. For 7 whole years, he'd walk by this shop just to stare at it, feeling this strange pull. He knew it was crazy, that he couldn't afford it, but he just couldn't shake it.
So he finally buys it. One day, back at his place, he's fighting with a drawer that just won't open. He gets so mad, he just hauls off and hits the thing. And pop, a secret compartment springs open. And inside, to his total shock, he finds a whole stack of documents. Yep, the very papers that make up the book, Either Or. So let's recap this whole strange story. An obsession with a desk leads to a moment of rage, which leads to the accidental discovery of a secret drawer, which reveals 2 totally different philosophies of life. It's this wonderfully bizarre setup, and it's all designed to make us feel like we too have just stumbled upon some kind of profound secret. So what exactly did Victor Eremita find in that secret drawer? Well, he found the central conflict of the entire book, the great Either Or that gives the work its title. As Eremita starts sorting through all these papers, he realizes they're written by 2 completely different people. One pile of papers is all poetic, passionate, kind of chaotic. The other is super structured, very moral, and written like a series of long letters. He has no idea who wrote them, so he just labels the first guy A and the second guy B. A represents what we call the aesthetic life. This is a life that's all about chasing beauty, passion, new experiences. The SD lives for the interesting moment, and their number one enemy is boredom. Their world is all about infinite possibility, experiencing everything you can, but, and this is key, committing to absolutely nothing. And then you've got B, who represents the polar opposite, the ethical life. This isn't about fleeting moments, it's about lasting commitments. This is a life built on responsibility, on duty, on finding real meaning not in endless possibility, but in making a choice to build a solid moral self through things like marriage, a career, and being part of a community. So that title, Either Or, it isn't just a name. It's basically an instruction manual. Kierkegaard is looking right at you, the reader, and he's presenting you with a fundamental, decisive choice between 2 ways of being in the world. To really get this choice, we have to explore these 2 worlds. So first, let's step inside the mind of A, the aesthete. What's it actually like to live this way? Just look at what's in A's papers. You've got these brilliant essays on Mozart, on Greek tragedy. Then you've got this creepy, detailed diary of a seducer. And then just these short, beautiful fragments of pure despair. It's a world of high art, super intense emotions, and a deep, deep sadness. This quote just nails the romantic, tragic way the aesthete sees himself. There's a certain beauty in the suffering, right? A kind of performance in the pain. For A, life is just raw material that you're supposed to shape into something interesting, even if it completely breaks your heart. But here's the dark side.
This endless chase for new possibilities, for a life without commitment, it leads to this profound, crushing emptiness. By refusing to choose anything or anyone, the athlete's own self just kind of dissolves into nothing. The freedom you wanted so badly becomes a prison of total indifference.
And it's right into this empty space that author B steps in with a totally different answer. His whole argument, which takes up the entire second half of the book, is that meaning isn't something you find in cool moments, it's something you build through your choices. And this is where we have to face the final choice ourselves.
Now, this is the real genius of the book. Kierkegaard never says who's right. B makes this passionate case that choosing a path, getting married, having a job, isn't a limit on your freedom. It's the very thing that creates your freedom and defines you. But he doesn't get the last word. The book just ends, and the debate is handed over from the page to you. Even our fake editor, Victor Eremita, says it himself. The whole point is for the characters A and B to just fade into the background. All that's left are their powerful ideas battling it out inside your own head. It's not about them anymore. It's about the decisive alternative they represent for your life.
And so, the book just leaves us with this huge, unavoidable question. Do you go for a life of passion and possibility, even if it might end in despair? Or do you choose a life of commitment and duty, which forges a self but closes off all those other doors? This isn't just some dusty philosophical problem from the 1840s. It's a question that every single one of us has to answer.